how to onboard a new hobby without hating yourself. So, you've decided to start a new hobby. Congratulations. You just hired an unpaid intern who will take over your weekends, eat your budget alive, and humiliate you in front of your friends and family until you either ghost it or let it live rent free in your closet forever. You think, maybe I'll learn pottery. You picture yourself at the wheel, hair perfectly tousled, making symmetrical bowls that could be in an Etsy ad. Maybe you're listening to jazz. Maybe you're already imagining your future cottage lifestyle where people say things like, oh, this mug? Yeah, I made it myself. No big deal. Cut to 3 weeks later, you're surrounded by 11 lopsided ashtrays you don't even smoke. Your cat has now eaten a chunk of clay that you have to explain to the vet. Because here's the thing, they arrive like a new operating system full of bugs, unfamiliar shortcuts, and sudden pop ups asking you to buy gear that you can't pronounce or afford. Do you need a rib tool? Do you need a sourdough starter kit that comes in a mason jar with a branded tote bag? Probably not, but you bought them anyway. And if you don't onboard hobbies correctly, you will resent them. You'll ghost them, and then you will end up in a hobby witness protection program, hiding your ukulele under the bed every time someone asks, hey, do you still play? So, today we are going to build a hobby onboarding plan, a way for you to keep your joy without turning it into a part time job that you hate. Section 1, the honeymoon phase. Every hobby begins with a delusion, pure, chaotic, rose colored delusion. This is the stage where your brain is high on novelty and dopamine. You're binge watching tutorials, scrolling Pinterest boards like you've been hired to design a museum wing, and adding obscure items to your Amazon cart that you've never heard of but suddenly feel essential to your soul. You convince yourself that buying a $400 starter kit is an investment. You'll tell yourself it'll pay for itself because obviously you're going to stick with it. This is who you are now. You're a watercolor person, you're a skateboard person, a rock climbing person, except statistically, you'll quit this hobby before the return policy expires, and the only thing you'll have to show for it is the receipt that reads like a short horror story. Here's the problem. The honeymoon phase is all dopamine, no logistics. You're not thinking about where this stuff goes in your apartment. You're really not thinking about cleanup or time or the fact that you're already so emotionally overbooked that you don't even have room in your Google Calendar for a new friendship, let alone ceramics class on Thursdays. And then the clutter starts whispering. Every time you walk past it, it stares at you like, remember me? Remember when you had dreams? And you're like, please, I'm just trying to microwave leftovers. Stop judging me from the counter. And then the crash hits. You stop, you feel guilt, and you tell yourself the story. I never follow through. But that's not true. The problem wasn't you. The problem was thinking your joy could be ordered on Amazon Prime. How do you get over it? Here's the solution. Make the honeymoon phase as cheap and tiny as possible. Borrow the gear, share it with a friend. Buy the $12 starter kit, not the professional deluxe $400 monster. Give yourself a probation period where you're allowed to flirt with the hobby before committing to a full relationship. That way, when the honeymoon fades, you're not left with shame, just the memory of a fling that did not work out. Section 2, the over optimization spiral. Fun, but make it corporate. So let's say your hobby survives the honeymoon phase. Congratulations, you made it to stage 2, making it corporate. This is where your hobby goes from to OKR. You start tracking progress, you set goals, you make color-coded spreadsheets that nobody asks for. Suddenly, it's not baking cookies, it's quarterly KPIs. Not drawing, but brand consistency. One day you're crocheting a hat. Next, you're Googling SEO keywords for knitting and pricing what your imaginary Etsy store should charge for shipping. And it all feels amazing. At first. Because now you're not just having fun, you're being productive. You're justifying your joy with output. It's like telling your brain, don't worry, I'm not wasting time, I'm running a department. But here's the rod. The joy of doing the thing gets replaced by the satisfaction of measuring the thing. You don't just want to bake cookies anymore. You want to A/B test the cookie batches and iterate for efficiency. You're not just learning the guitar, you're behind on your practice backlog. And suddenly your hobby stops being yours, it becomes a performance review. You stop trusting yourself to do anything just because. Every creative impulse gets shoved through the can we monetize this filter, like walking through airport security. And if it doesn't beep profitable, you don't even want to try. That's how you end up with a graveyard of abandoned notebooks titled content ideas. Here's the solution. Put a firewall between fun and metrics. No spreadsheets, no monetization plans until you've been messy and inefficient for a while. If you must track something, track vibes. Literally, did this feel fun today? Yes, no. That is it. If the answer is yes, congratulations. You've hit the only KPI that matters. Section 3, the ghosting phase. It's not you, it's Tuesdays. You don't quit hobbies outright. No one ever does. You just move them further back into the closet. At first, you're telling yourself you're taking a break. Then it's, I'll get back to this after this very busy week. And then one day, it's, oh wow, it's been 8 months already. Every time you see the supplies, you feel guilt. The watercolor set is basically side eyeing you from the shelf. The ukulele has become a passive aggressive roommate, and your brain files this under failure. But here's the truth, the only thing that happened was life got in your way. You just forgot your hobbies are voluntary. They're not houseplants that you forget to water. They don't actually die when you ignore them. The danger of ghosting, though, is identity. Ghost enough hobbies, and you start saying, am I the kind of person who never sticks with anything? And that lie calcifies. Suddenly, you're not just someone who quit pottery once, you're the person who can't follow through. Solution: stop treating hobbies like jobs with attendance policies. Give yourself permission to come back, or not. If it's been 6 months, you don't have to ghost harder. You can pick it up for one afternoon just for fun, or you can retire it and move on to the next. But don't let it rot in limbo. Limbo is what drains you. Section 4: resurrection or retirement. Either you bring it back slowly, gently, no performance pressure, or give it a dignified send off. Both are fine. What is not fine is keeping it in limbo forever. And that's how you get an emotional zombie in your spare room. For me, it was photography. I bought a DSLR because obviously I was going to become a travel photographer. I learned what aperture is, shutter speed, ISO. I could explain the exposure triangle at parties like I was a pretentious TEDx speaker. And then one day, I stopped. The camera sat on my shelf for 2 years, whispering prod at me every time I dusted it. Finally, I sold it, and the second it left my apartment, I felt lighter. Retiring a hobby is not failure. It had its season, the season ended. Letting go is sometimes the kindest thing you can do, both for yourself and the hobby. So yeah, I started a YouTube channel, and here's the irony. I'm literally making YouTube videos about onboarding hobbies while onboarding a YouTube channel. I don't know how this will go. I might treat it like a fling. I might over-optimize it and build a Notion tracker for my subscriber count. But the point is, I'm here and I'm trying. Maybe that's the only onboarding rule that really matters. You can't guarantee the outcome, but you can at least show up for the first round. Section 5: the hobby identity crisis. Sometimes the hobby isn't about the thing at all. You don't want to crochet. You want to be a person who crochets. You don't want to run. You want to be a runner. And that's fine. Humans love identities. But if you confuse the symbol with the joy, the hobby will always disappoint you. I tried chess. Did I love chess? Yes. But I love the idea of being a mysterious chess guy at the cafe more. The one sipping espresso, staring at the board with the tortured genius energy. Spoiler, I lost to a 9-year-old at chess.com and never went back. Solution: check if you actually enjoy the thing or the costume it gives you. Both are okay, but only one will last. Section 6: the poly hobbyist curse. Some of us aren't one hobby people, we're poly hobbyists. We want to learn the guitar, start beekeeping, bake sourdough, film YouTube, and maybe tap dance. And that's not bad, but treat hobbies like dating and you'll discover the curse of overlap. Too many partners and not enough time. Somebody's feelings will always get hurt. Usually it's the guitar. Solution: call them flings. Stop promising them a lifelong commitment. Flings are fun. Flings don't guilt trip you when you leave them and move on. Section 7: the boredom wall. Every hobby hits a boring wall. Day 1, magic. Day 7, meh. Day 30, torture. If you think boredom equals failure, you'll quit. But boredom is actually the threshold where the real hobby begins. Because joy isn't just novelty. Joy is showing up again and again until it becomes muscle memory. Expect boredom. It's not a red flag, it's a rite of passage. Push through it, or at least don't shame yourself when it arrives. There are hobbies that only exist in winter, or summer, or January. Knitting in December, gardening in May, bullet journaling every New Year. They vanish when the season shifts and you feel guilty. But seasonal hobbies aren't failures. They're just seasonal. Like pumpkin spice lattes, treat seasonal hobbies like seasonal produce. Enjoy them when they're fresh, no shame in letting them go in the off season. The hobby manifesto. So here's the truth. Your hobbies are not a job interview. You don't need references. You don't need resumes. No one is going to say, sorry, we can't accept you in pottery club because the ashtrays look like cursed fossils. Hobbies are supposed to be dumb, messy, and a little bit cringe. They're supposed to add color to your life, not turn it into a calendar invite that you dread. So onboard them like housemates. Let them crash. See if they fit. If they don't, kick them out. If they come back in 3 months with flowers saying, I've changed, you're allowed to give them a shot. And if you've ever impulse bought $200 worth of gear only to ghost it, hit subscribe. This channel is basically a group therapy session for abandoned hobbies, like an island of misfit toys, but everyone's just quietly ashamed of their unused yoga mats. So go, start the thing, drop the thing, restart the thing. It's all valid. Just remember, your worth isn't tied to whether you are consistent. It's tied to whether you let yourself have fun. Like, share, and subscribe if you like this video. And if you do nothing else this week, please stop making Kanban boards for your crochet classes.